Get rid of the things in your life that are holding you back from progress.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
My friends, welcome to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair. Today's episode is sponsored by a couple of companies, one of them being OREP Insurance. OREP is my E&O of choice. It should be yours as well. Go to orep.org. That's orep.org. And TrueTracks. You can find out more by going to truefootage.tech. Again, it's TrueTracks at truefootage.tech. Folks, as of this recording, we're a couple of months out after post-retreat. So I talked here a couple of weeks ago about the Elevate Appraiser retreat that we had in Coors Gold, California, the first week in May, and it was absolutely an incredible time. This morning, as of this recording, met with all of the retreat members on a Zoom call where Blaine Fyan and I followed up and just touched bases to see how things are going, to see what goals they had accomplished, kind of hold their feet to the fire a little bit, accountability, if you will, but just kind of talk about some positive things that have happened since the retreat, and also to be able to offer some help with any hurdles that they might be experiencing. In other words, there were a lot of goals and visions set during the retreat. How are you doing with those? What are you working on? What do you need assistance and help with? That kind of a meeting. And it was a fabulous time. When we got done with everyone, I reported that one of the biggest changes that I personally have had since the retreat is I have really taken to heart the idea of delete and saying no. So those are two different things, but they're related. During the retreat, one of the activities that we did was what we called the delete activity. And this happened in an evening. So this was after a long day of really deep dive learning and inspiration and really getting vulnerable with each other. We went out to dinner and then we came back and we sat out on the patio area where there was a bonfire. And most everybody was there. It was an optional thing, but most everybody had made the sacrifice effort to be there. And we had an activity that I think was maybe one of our better activities during the retreat. At least it was impactful for me. And we had talked earlier that day about getting rid of things that were in our way, whether it be money, time, commitments, relationships, even health, hurdles, getting rid of things that were in our way to progress. So this is the delete experience. And I told some stories about some super successful individuals who had learned in their lives that deleting sometimes can be the best approach to success. And that evening, we went around the campfire and everybody stood up. They had written something down on a piece of paper and they stood up and they either announced it to the group, or if it was super private, they could just say, I'm just going to delete this thing and just refer to it as this thing rather than actually go into detail. A couple of people did that. I deleted two things during that activity. One of them was the endless scrolling on social media, and the other one was a private thing that I didn't announce. And I'm happy to say that 2 months out, I still have not added those things back in. Not that I don't get on social media, not that I don't scroll occasionally. That wasn't even the thing. The thing that I was concerned about was the endless scrolling, like the doom scrolling. And I fall into that just like anybody else does, right? And I want to announce here that I have deleted that. But more importantly, see, that was the delete thing. That was get rid of the things in your life that are holding you back from progress. But the other thing is to not add anything back into your life that it's going to hinder your progress. I'm going to tell you a couple stories when we get back from the break. First, I want to pause and remind you that we are sponsored by a couple of great companies. Of course, OREP Insurance being one of them. OREP, folks, is my E&O of choice. I know it sounds silly to even talk about E&O, right? It's insurance. Boring. Well, maybe. Maybe if you think about it that way. But if you really understand what insurance is and what it does for you, folks, I don't think there's any other choice out there but OREP Insurance. This is a group of people who get it when it comes to real estate appraisers. They get it when it comes to your business, and that's where you need to be. That's where you need to have your insurance housed with. It's OREP Insurance. You can find them on the web at orep.org. And of course, folks, it's always something that we're working on to make sure that our reports are supported, that the adjustments that we make in our reports are supported. And there is no easier way these days than through TrueTracks. TrueTracks is the ability for you to save time, save money, and go to sleep at night feeling like you've done everything that you can to support your adjustments. Check them out by going to truefootage.tech. That's truefootage.tech to learn more about TrueTracks. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris, hanging out in the podcast chair, folks. Really two things we're talking about today, but the same principle. The principle, the umbrella is get rid of or don't add things in that cause you to get derailed when it comes to your success. Now, this could be success with relationships, could be success with your health, could be success, of course, on the business side, the finance side. What things are in your way to progress, right? And delete those things. But it's bigger than that. See, most individuals who listen to this program are highly successful people. You listen to this program because we talk about success principles, and you are people who will implement those things into your life. In fact, this morning, as we were on the line with members of the retreat, it was just mind-blowing. Not really. It wasn't mind-blowing, but it was satisfying to be in that meeting and to listen to the progress that these individuals that had gone to the retreat have had. And just, in fact, Blaine at one point said, this is an example. He was talking about one specific retreat attendee. This individual is somebody who gets stuff done. There's just no doubt about it. This individual will set his mind to something and nothing will get in his way and he will get it done. And folks, that's the difference between the 98% and the 2%. The successful 2% in the world are action people, okay? And one of the challenges that action people have is that we take too much action, that actually can get in our way, right? Too much is added in. And I want to announce I can't tell you, folks, how much this has changed my life, even since the retreat. And I've known this principle, but as I've started to implement, I started to get addicted to saying no. I started getting addicted to this idea that I don't have to do everything. And I don't even have to do everything that I want to do. And by that, I mean, I've had several opportunities come to me recently that have allowed me to practice this idea of saying no, that get to be kind of invigorating. And that's where the addiction comes in. One of the things that we said at the retreat was, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Meaning, when you have an opportunity come before you, if you don't immediately know that this is the right thing for you, folks, it is a no. And as I get older and I start to slow down a little bit, right, I'm starting to realize how important it is to say no. I've had a couple of things happen to me over the last couple of weeks. One of them was a business opportunity that in the past, I don't know that I would have gone down the road of the new business opportunity, but I definitely would have gone down the road of learning more about the new business opportunity. I had a business opportunity come up a couple of weeks ago that sounded so good to me that I guarantee that I would have spent hours and hours and hours going down a rabbit hole, if you will, trying to figure out if it was the right thing for me to expand into. Okay, it wasn't a totally new opportunity, but it was a branch off, let's put it that way, of one of my businesses. And folks, as I'm talking to an individual on the phone who brought this opportunity to me, part of me, my old self, said, this is interesting. Maybe I should learn more about this. My new self said, if it's not a hell yes, Dustin, it's a hell no. This, folks, was a yes, but not a hell yes. In fact, on another opportunity, it was not a business opportunity, but another opportunity to spend time with an individual. I had somebody approach me and said, hey, they were trying to make a connection. Said, Dustin, could you do me a favor and meet with this person and help this person out? Now, in the past, it would have been, of course, Brian, I would love to help you out with that. My new self said, is this a hell yes? And not only was it not a hell yes, but I actually told Brian, the individual making the connection, I said, Brian, I've adopted a new philosophy in life. And that is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. This is a yes. I want you to know that, Brian. This is a yes, but it's not a hell yes. So because I have a new philosophy, it's a no. Folks, what are you doing in your life to get rid of those things that are in your way of progress, to delete? And what are you doing in your life to say no to those opportunities that may seem like a good idea, but just are not a hell yes? Because if it's only a yes, it's still a hell no. Thank you for joining me today, folks. By the way, upcoming retreats we are working on, Blaine and I, the Elevate Your Appraisal Office, your life, your relationships, everything else. This will not be the only one that we have, folks. We've got others coming up, and we will be announcing them here soon. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me today, folks, and go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit TheAppraiserCoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.